Hello, and thanks for tuning in to another episode of The Director's Cut, brought to you by the Directors Guild of America, featuring today's top directors sharing behind-the-scenes stories of their latest films and insights into the craft of directing. Please take a second to subscribe to our podcast on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. This episode takes us behind the scenes of director Bradley Cooper's new romantic musical drama, A Star is Born. Mr. Cooper pulls double duty in the film, also starring as Jackson Jack Maine, a seasoned musician who falls in love with a struggling singer and actress named Allie, played by Lady Gaga. Allie has just about given up on her dream to make it big until Jack coaxes her into the spotlight. But as Allie's career begins a meteoric rise, Jack's takes a tumble as his own internal demons take their toll. A Star is Born marks Mr. Cooper's directorial debut. Following a recent screening of the film at the DGA Theater in Los Angeles, Mr. Cooper spoke with director Jason Bateman about appearing on both sides of the camera while filming A Star is Born. During their conversation, Mr. Cooper discusses his sonic portrayal of the rise to fame, the challenge of shooting the concert footage in actual festivals across the US and England, and his approach to directing and acting with Lady Gaga.
Wow, thank you. This theater's beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you. Pretty great, right?
Thank you.
I mean, they all stayed. They can't hate it. Well, I really don't know where to start or how much time you've got or how much time you've got, but that was my second time watching it, and it was even better the second time. I was telling Bradley backstage, I cried 4 times. Twice was because I was so proud of you, and twice because it was just those scenes that kind of got me. I'm an aspiring actor or director. I can't do that. I can't do that as an actor either, but I'd love to know a lot about your, pardon the term, process when it comes to directing, because there's a lot up there. That's a big friggin' swing for your number one movie. I mean, that's. Pardon me. Prep, I would imagine, was extensive, yeah? How many weeks did you have for prep?
I mean, it's hard to answer that. First of all, thank you for doing this. And you're wrong. You're an incredible director. And I learned from you. And I'm sure you've all seen his work, which is just kind of mind-blowing. I had a tremendous amount of prep. I mean, soft prep, it all sort of blurred together. I mean, the truth is, I had 4 years to work on this thing. And 2.5 of it to prep. So it's composition and shots and sonic elements and character and then just begging people to come along this journey with me that I'd worked with throughout the years, like Jay Cassidy, who I met on Silver Linings Playbook and was the editor. That we were in the trenches for that movie in American Hustle, and Shelley Ziegler, who was the first AD then, and Karen Murphy, this incredible production designer who I met, and she did Light Between Oceans, that Derek C. and France movie that I thought just had a level of authenticity that's hard to get. And Matthew Lebatique, who Jennifer Lawrence says is the best cinematographer she ever worked with, and he and I just hit it off. So it was just, all of a sudden getting these people that wanted to be a part of it when I was sharing them sort of the ideas and the elements that I wanted to examine. And then just working and working and working.
When you went through the writing process, and I'm sure you will say that you did very little and the others did a lot, but because you're humble. But I would imagine that as a director, you had a pretty heavy pen with maybe not so much dialogue, or maybe yes, but as you started to sort of visualize the film and decide what you're going to show versus what you're going to say, what you're going to create with tone or atmosphere versus music, dialogue, performance, all that combination, that privileged position of director, where you get to play with all of those little sliders, and you can decide who's going to carry the water and in what ratio. Was that part of your sort of soft prep, your early prep when you were working on the script? Were there shots that you were designing that you were incorporating into lines of action and descriptive paragraphs and whatnot?
I don't like to write down a description of in the script. I like it to be as minimal as possible, because then I don't feel like I have to be married to it. But it all starts for me sort of with the visual composition of shots, and it's weird. It's sort of like the cart before the horse. But and one thing inspires another. The truth is, the whole opening of the movie, what I pitched to Warner Brothers was like the first 10 minutes, and that's what sort of got me the green light to go and at least try to start writing the movie, but not green lighting the movie itself. That whole opening we never even shot. So, but that was the fuel for, and we prepped it and had a week. We only had a 42-day shoot, so that was a big week. But then, as we were shooting the movie, and we jumped on Stagecoach. And we had 8 minutes. The opening of the movie, we actually had 8 minutes on a real live stage at Stagecoach. And I asked Jay Cassidy, you know what, this feels like we really captured something. I don't know if I could do better than that for an opening. And I saw it and I thought, well, that checks all the boxes of establishing who this guy is. And I wanted to deal with fame sonically, only sonically. I didn't want to have like any sort of montage of her rise, press conferences, paparazzi chasing them, nothing, crowds, but just this sonic element of fame, which to me is a cacophony of noise and then silence. So the opening is like, and to me that's sort of the idea of fame. You're in this room and there's tons of people and there's all this energy, and then all of a sudden you're alone with Cheez-Its. That you're giving
Grumberg
to your
and a
driver.
bag of Cheetos. What about, and I'm pulling out I've got 10 questions.
But no, dialogue was key. Is a huge part of it. I mean, having something to say and a way to say it so people listen to it, that's a whole other bag. That is a major thread of one of the things I wanted to examine in the movie. And the 12 notes thing, Will Fetters wrote that in a very early version of the movie when we were working on it, and that stayed all the way to the end. And that was also a huge anchor for us, dialogue-wise.
Well, it's going off your...
And the lyrics, too. I mean, that's the other thing. The lyrics in the songs are, to me, dialogue. They're all story. We don't sort of go off in these little eddies. Here's a musical interlude, and then we're going to come back to the movie. The first thing is black eyes open wide. It's time to testify. There's no room for lies, and everyone's looking at you. I mean, that's sort of, here's Jackson Maine. That's what he is. That's what he has to do every day now. And then you see, well, doesn't quite have that same thing for him now.
You just reminded me that you played Jackson Maine. Like, I mean, I don't. I'm looking at Bradley. I'm not looking at Jackson like that. It's just great acting up there.
Thanks.
I mean, the haircut helps, but. So having
the wig. I'm joking.
having something to say, and then what's the rest of that line? The way in which
having something to say and a way to say it so people listen to it.
Right. How much of that, without getting too cheesy, how much of that kind of fueled your effort with this as a, pardon the term, artist, and wanting to direct and act, and not comments on fame and all of that garbage, because that's all kind of private, but I'm sure, well, I'm not sure, I'm asking you, is directing something that you see as more complicated and more difficult than acting, and that difficulty also lends itself to complications that are also end up being much more specific, and so the thing that you want to say, you can say more specifically, and is that a draw to directing that?
Well, I mean, there's it sounds like two different questions. I mean, the one thing about being complicated, to me, it's only more complicated if I'm not prepared. If I'm not prepared, it's very complicated when you're actually doing it. But if I'm prepared, it doesn't feel complicated at all. It actually feels very joyous and freeing. Absolutely, you're able to have something to say and a way to say it if you're directing the movie and co-writing it, no question. Because I'm not at the arms of somebody else. As an actor, we serve the director. That's our job, and you hope to in your moments of doing a scene together, accomplish what it is we want to accomplish. But in terms of sorry, I just love that song.
Ringtones are very telling. Tell me your name.
Anyway, you know. But
tell me about prep. Tell me about you being very prepared, and therefore it wasn't super complicated. I know a lot of prep goes out the window on the day.
One thing I would just say is that in terms of the process, I think the one thing I can say is to me, like, for example, this thing of having something to say, I didn't necessarily know that was what was going to be a thread of the movie until I started writing it. But I don't know what you feel like, but if I'm working from a personal place in every aspect, things just sort of come up, and then you have this idea that's very deep. Like, for example, in the grocery store, when I was a kid, me and my friends used to always go to Gennardi's, was the supermarket, and I used to love the the little borders in between cars that you could sit in, and me and my friends would sit there because the cars would be there, we could kind of hide, and I always wanted them to be sitting on that thing. No reason, there was no sort of story point. I just thought, I have a deep feeling about these two characters sitting on that little thing, because I remember what that feels like. And then all of a sudden, that is that little idea, then you just sort of work from there. And there was all these things, these personal things, visually, that I find that when I allow those things in and then use those things to work on story, it feels like I'm not doing it, I'm just kind of receiving it. Because I think that because all we're trying to do as an actor is get out of our head, right? I feel the same way about writing and the same way about directing. And even editing, quite honestly. If it's a cerebral exercise, you're a little screwed. You know, it really is trying to create something where you, even as a director and a filmmaker, are a vessel for whatever the thing that's or channeling something that's coming through you. I know that sounds kind of like highfalutin or like mystical, but that's when it feels the most creative. And then I watch and I go, yeah, that feels like it's hitting me here as opposed to here.
Yes, but many times that becomes, for any and all of you that have spent time on sets, it all goes sideways really fast. You know, like you can prep your nards off and then you get there on the day and that actor doesn't want to sit there. They want to sit over here. The sun's in the wrong spot, et cetera, et cetera.
But I would argue that there's many ways to skin a cat.
Yeah.
And if you know what your story is from a deep place, that actor not wanting to do that, you'll find a way to make that work because you know exactly what it is what you want, and all you want. The only reason why you cast that actor, and I do mean you, sir. I'm just kidding. The only reason you want to cast that actor. Sorry, my mother points all the time. I'm not a big pointer. I thought, why am I pointing?
Where's Gloria?
Where Gloria's in Philly. My mom. That's, by the way, the other thing about directing, probably the most gratifying, is that you get to cast the movie. And so every casting choice, I knew that if I could just get that person to be completely open and willing to trust me and to make themselves vulnerable and then risk, they could be, hanging from the ceiling and it's going to work to story because I know exactly what I need from them.
Okay, but you wrote it, you prep it, so you see it, you hear it. I mean, we all do that when we read a book. It's shot perfectly in your head, right? Just instinctually. Then you get on the set, and then that incredible actor embodies that character. You many times have not seen that actor give a sample of that character because they did an audition, let's say, potentially. I don't know. I mean, some of those actors probably did, but some of them...
I don't like to audition. I mean, Elie Kazan in A Life, he talked about how the way he likes to audition actors, he takes them for a walk around his office, around the lot. And that's what I believe. I really do think it's what Jackson says, talent comes everybody's talented one thing or another, but have something to say. It's like every single person has something, and if you just tap into their truth and let the talent come out. I always find that in an audition, it's hard to tell. I can't really see it because they're working on so many other things. I'd rather just get them relaxed and look at them and have a conversation. And then I could see, are these sort of things that I could use to help tell the story I want to tell.
But did you find that to be a comfortable process for you to inevitably see that line read, that scene played in a way that no way can be a perfect target of how you've always seen it in your mind? Were you able to pivot and receive?
I mean, I saw this documentary that Mike Nichols did before he passed. It was an interview, and they asked him, how do you approach directing? He said, I approach directing the same way I approach acting, which is I prepare, show up, and throw it all away. And I remember feeling so happy about that because I thought that's how I approach acting, and I feel like I will be the best director for myself and utilize whatever I have to offer by doing that. And many times, and we were very restricted by budget and days, so there was a time limit on everything. But I, if I want to shoot something in this room, if I walk in there and I'm like, all of a sudden those two exit sides are interesting, maybe I'm going to change the way I want to frame it. I allow myself the privilege, the capacity to do that. For example, that scene when they're having breakfast after they make love the first time, I wrote that scene to be in the bed, and we shot it, and it was exactly how I had imagined it, and I just knew the other benefit. I don't know if you feel this way, but I think it's easier to act and direct than to just direct, because you're on the field with the actor, so you know what's working.
And you don't have to deal with that guy.
Yeah,
like he's reading your mind every take. I don't know how he does it.
Especially in the editing room, and when you don't have to explain to him why you cut his shit out. But we did it, and this is the part of why I love this process so much, because it is a collaborative process, and everybody is just as important. We had about 10 minutes left to make our day, and we couldn't go over because of budget. And I just sat there and I talked to Matt. I said, "I'm sorry, I know, but we have to. How about we do a oneer? They're eating breakfast. Is room service still open in this hotel?" Mike Sexton was the saving grace, the prop master, and he went, and we just waited there for 8 minutes. We're all sitting there waiting for the room service to be delivered. They're running up, we're throwing. I wanted two of everything, and then I set up the shot with Scott Sakamoto, and I wanted a dolly track, and then that was the shot. Thank God, because I loved that scene now, and in the bed it didn't work, and that was something that I changed right on the fly. And that's also the things that I love about making a movie, because you really feel like we're all in it together. We're all like in a huddle trying to figure out, is this the best version? Can we do better?
Right. So with the exit sign example, right? So you come to this location, you see it the first time, you go, yeah, well, the DGA auditorium could work. Let's go see a couple of other auditoriums. You go see a couple other ones. No, DGA was the right ones. You go back to this location a couple of weeks later. Yes, bring some of the keys. Now you come and you tech it. And when you decide, are you at that moment deciding what your composition is going to be? We're going to come in that door versus that door, this door versus that door. Are you walking around with Maddie? Are you by yourself? Are you taking stills? Does that then change? You go back to the production office and you storyboard, or you shot list?
Yeah, I don't like to storyboard. Warner Brothers wanted me to do it, and I did it for like a week, and then I thought, this is a fool's errand. It doesn't, because I don't know, that doesn't, for some reason, because I look at it, I'm like, well, that's not really it. And then it's like, then we're going to spend all this time just getting the storyboard right. And I'm like, why don't we just shoot the fucking thing? But sorry, not to take any away from the art of storyboarding, but for some reason for me, I start thinking about like the movie's the storyboard. Again, to story, into form always has to follow function. So I wanted, Jackson's House is a perfect example. And also, through necessity comes creativity. And I went to the Innes house. The Innes house, they shot a lot of Blade Runner there. It's the Frank Lloyd Wright. It's a beautiful building. And I had a dinner there like 2 years ago, and I thought, oh, this is Jackson Maine's house. Worst idea ever. Would not have worked, would have ruined the movie. But I was sure that this is the house. At the time, it was way too expensive. I was like, wait, this guy's crushing me with the money. It's half our budget. And so we had to lose it. And then this other house came up, but I always knew I wanted hallways, and I wanted a chapel-like environment, because I want him to come home after rehab almost like in a church-like environment, thinking that he could be saved by her. And there's the Le'Veon Rose sign that so he's almost praying to the altar. There's that proscenium shot. And I wanted hallways. Cassavetes always shot stairs and hallways, and I just love that idea of and even growing up, a lot of things that I observed was from a stairway or from a hall with my parents. So you just go into a space. If you know what you want, then you can just utilize the space to accommodate what the story is you've already mapped out in your head.
So it's so great. I mean, there's a lot of directors have different ways to work, as you know well, and
but there are. Sorry, I'm talking too much, but so
this is your time to talk.
Right. But there were sequences that were rigid. Like his death it's a oneer. There was
Whose
no
death?
Jackson's. Yeah, from the time he comes out of the truck all the way till he closes the garage. I just cut a little bit inside of it, but it's all the same take. There was no room, there was no coverage, there was nothing like that. Her rise, her journey all the way up to when they sing the duet together. Yeah. That was all very specific. That
was my first cry.
What's that?
That was my first cry.
So those things were very. There were certain elements that were like, I was not going to budge. That is true.
And so when you take these specific sequences of images, when you have a coverage plan, let's say the night before during prep, and the night before, and then you go in there and you go, okay, I'm going to open up tight here, and then I'm going to slowly back up, and maybe the last shot's going to be wide, or vice versa, whatever it is. You throw all that stuff into editorial. Jay starts getting the dailies in. He starts assembling that scene. Maybe he sends it to you while you're shooting or not. And when you see the assembly, whether it be a sequence while you're shooting or maybe when you sit down after principal finishes, and you watch what an incredibly talented editor like Jay Cassidy is, I would assume that somebody that credentialed, that talented, that unique, you wouldn't want him to be beholden to the order of your images, the way in which you shot them. You want to empower him, deputize him to go nonlinear if he feels it or whatever. So what was that conversation? Was there one? And if he did give you any scene that was out of order that you covered it out of, right? Were you open to seeing something with a clear mind, like an audience's perspective with no preconceived notions? And did that receive well? And then did you go, I love that. Can we please put it in the order that I shot it in and let me just A-B that? What is that process for you?
That's a great question. I mean, to me, not only Jay Cassidy, but every single crew member is worthy of letting their art flourish as much as they can. And for me to somehow put that in some sort of prison would be stupid of me. So not only Jay, but the writers that I work with, the actors, the crew, Maddie, I want them to go for it, and then I can always bring it back. But the whole point is they need to feel free to feel like they're worthy and they have a voice, and I want them to be excited every day when they go home, again, this goes back to prep, because I was so clear with what I wanted to tell. I could choose what I wanted to use from that, and we can have discussions as to what that is. And very often, an idea they will have will be better than the idea I had, or will spring a new idea. And even like the rehab scene, for example, I asked Jay to assemble it because that rehab scene, wasn't written, and then he breaks down the thing, and something just kind of really happened that day, and I never felt comfortable with the way that I had written Jackson's death, which was very different than what it was in the movie. I always felt like this just is not real. It's not real. And I said, Jay, can you send me back that rehab scene? Thank God we shot it before we were shooting the death. And because he had edited in such a way, I then pitched to Toby Emmerich. He was kind enough to come to my house, and I played him the scene, and I said, listen, I think that Jackson's going to have to go this way. And then because I had thought about what that shot would be, and he was bold enough to say, okay, go for it. But that was all because I let Jay do his thing, and then that allowed me to then go to Warner Brothers and say, look, I mean, this guy's going down, and he's not going to go down the way we wrote in the script. It just doesn't make any sense.
Because you felt editorially it was teed up so well that you could be as beautifully disciplined and tamped down as you were with that image, just through the garage pane with just slight swaying. Just Maddie lit it just so, and you could almost not see it, and then you did, and it was heartbreaking. It was really.
And almost and the other point is like almost you don't even need to see it. I mean, the hope is you know what it is. Just when you know it, and if you don't know it, Charlie tells you. Yeah.
Staying with Maddie for one more question. You're on set. You say, okay, camera is here. Let me see a 25, and you say 25. Yeah, and we're going to start here, and we're going to boom down to here, and then maybe we just pan off under her, and it becomes that. Great. Go ahead and light it. Let me know when you're done. Or is it? Do you kind of like, here, take a look at this, and you show them the finder, and you say, now. Do you say your version of that? Because again, you want to engage Maddie's talent, and would he then look at the composition and say, well, I like what the frame is, but maybe we back up, put a 75 on it, and it's the same composition, but we compress.
I was always open to talk about that. But again, because time was of the essence, especially at concerts, like, for example, that first one was 8 minutes we had to shoot, and Glastonbury was 4 minutes. There wasn't much talking. And so it's always good that there's a singular vision. And I think Maddie and I had developed we had spoken a lot. We watched tons of movies before, and so we really were speaking the same language. That conversation did not happen very often. And I was pretty clear at things that I wanted to get, and he wanted them too. So it felt like we were doing it together, but there wasn't one day where we had a fight about a shot. Yeah. Not one.
And how were you about going back and checking the monitor, checking playback? Never.
The only time I had to check the monitor, because to me, shooting a movie is all about rhythm, the actual shooting process. And if I've done my work, I know what the shot is. And also, having been an actor for so long and not going back, you have to learn what the composition is, so you would know what the playground is, right? I mean,
you discuss that with the operator or the AC, and you say,
your relationship with the camera operator is everything. As an actor, right? That's who you dance with. And Scott Sakamoto is just a killer. I mean, I found myself, quite honestly, looking at him more than the actors when I wasn't directing. I would just be like, I can't. You're like Brett. You're like Mikhail Baryshnikov, the way you're moving around.
Did he do Steadicam as well?
He did. Oh yeah, the Steadicam. He operates a Steadicam as if it's on a dolly track. I don't know how he does it. He's just the greatest.
Okay, what about color? What about contrast?
Yeah.
What about, how much of the palette was predetermined? How much of it did you adjust in the DI later? Or did you stay pretty much where you wanted to be?
Here's the thing about being able to shoot digital. I know that Kristen would kill me, but I really find that it's just immeasurable, the ability that you have in the DI. And Stefan Sonnenfeld he's an artist.
There's a lot of grain in that. Did you put in grain or texture?
Yeah, there's a film thing that you could do, and then we colored within that. But a blue and red, these are characters in the movie, and they're reflective of the characters, where they're going. And Maddie and I had talked about that, up in my roof when we first met. I said, here's the color palette of the movie, and here's the idea of the use of flaring. With the concert
the
footage.
flares seemed anamorphic at times, but no, was there glass on the camera that were
sometimes we did shoot anamorphic, and sometimes we didn't on stage, but those were all things that this idea of creating a language that we both were speaking, so that we could then go and make the best use of our time.
And score, is there the only score?
There's two moments of score.
When you go in the shower, there's drums.
There's percussions over the shower, and then there's two piano stems of the last song that we have at two moments in the movie, and that's it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing. It's working when there's no music in it. Aside from the stuff that you. God, do I have anything left? Well, listen. She, I'm sure you're not sick and tired of answering questions about her because she's so incredible, but I bet you're getting a lot, so I apologize. She's so excellent in the movie as an actor, but so indisputably adorable, and there's a quality that you can't act. So I would imagine, she's a really beautiful person.
True.
Yeah.
Yep.
And this notion of chemistry and that kind of stuff, I'm sure you would agree, you can't have chemistry with anyone that's an asshole. She seems like she's pretty. This is one of the all-time nicest people you'll ever meet. So I imagine she matched you with that, and then it just kind of became, not to take anything away from either one of your performances, but it takes care of a lot if somebody's
no, it's true. It not just kindness, but openness. The way you are, you could tell when you look at somebody, and certainly you as a filmmaker, I'm sure you look at faces and eyes and voice. But it's true.
Let him finish.
And she had all that, as do I just want to say everybody else I feel like has the same thing, but because she carries the burden of the whole film, she is magical. And when I met her, that's when I knew there was no question, there's no movie without her. And all I thought at that point was, if I could just get her to open up. But what I didn't realize is just the degree to which she is able to be in the moment of a scene and listening. And I only was really able to experience that by being an actor with her. And really the thrill of acting with somebody who's really listening, and then all you have to do is just react to that's like what you hope for. And so because of that, we were able to explore so much. And, it still blew my mind every time I would go to the side of that stage and try to drag her on. And I really fully believed that she had never been on a stage like that. And in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, how the f*** is she acting this? She did the goddamn Super Bowl last year, and she does not want to come on this stage, dude. And I mean, like, there were many takes. We did it like 4 times. Many times she just fell on the floor, and I had to like drag her, and then it just got too weird. But she, that's incredible. And also, I have to say, her ability to act while she sings is just insane. I mean, to me, my favorite acting of hers in the whole movie is that last song. And I purposely didn't want to watch. Soon after he dies, the movie ends. I didn't want to have this sort of all these moments of grieving and his funeral and the thing and packing up the house. It's like I wanted to, and it was a tall order. I want to see all of the grief. I want to see anger before that, because this character punched a cop, and it's like she is who she is, and she's angry at this motherfucker. But the main grief is in the song, and I was just blown away by. And I was right there. It was just, I always knew it was going to be one shot, and it was Scott Sakamoto. So she's right where you are, and I'm right with Scott, and we're like here. And I'm just with Scott moving, and I'm just watching this. And the only thing I told her was, at the end, I just want you to look right in the lens. And she's like, right at the map box? Because she didn't know about all that. So she's like, you mean the top of the map box, right? I'm like, no, in the lens. That's the only thing I said. And I just watched this incredible performance.
And you said just a little bit of welling on the left eyelid, not on the right one. On the key side, I wanted just to crest, because that's what she did.
Yep. Unreal. It was unreal. It was unreal.
Do you think that you would have? Do you think that it would have been? I would imagine she was comfortable with you directing her in the scene, in the moment, in between action and cut. So cameras rolling, you're talking, you're doing the acting, you're doing the scene. She does a line that you feel like, oh boy, I love what she was doing there. I'd love her to do a little bit more of that. Would you say, do that line again? And you do it in the voice, and you stay in character and whatnot. And but that intimacy of it, do you think that you kept her in there? Like, in other words, it would have been more difficult if you were in the village.
I mean, you'd have to talk to her, but I think that everybody trusted me enough that I've come from doing 3 movies with David O. Russell, who will tell you what to say and how to say it. And
you're rolling.
And I love it. And Robert De Niro loves it. And I think that I gained their trust enough that I wouldn't even be like, Ken, you said. I would just say what to say, and then she would just say it right back, or give her something, or we would, or take the conversation somewhere else to come back. I mean, it's the flow of it's the ability of being a director in the scene as an actor. That I just felt that was invaluable.
It's like the greatest seat ever. Like, you're in the front row with them.
Yeah. And you can help drive it, and see what they're giving you. But very often she would just surprise me, and then I would just, it was just sort of it was a symbiotic occurrence that was. I mean, for example, I didn't tell her that I was going to say that horrible line about "you're just fucking ugly," and we did 2 takes of it, and they were I believed them. I didn't think there was any. I bought it, but I knew that Jesus. I mean, there's certain things you have to hit, and if we're going to be honest in this movie, we got to go there. And I didn't know what she was going to do, and she did it. But I was hoping, because I had set up the shot that I wanted him to leave and close the door, and we didn't have enough room in the hallway. So actually, we cleared out the closet, and so we laid down track all the way in the back of the closet and put the eyes. So Scott Sakamoto had to go all the way back. So I knew the shot I wanted, but I was just praying that she was going to stand up. But I didn't tell her to stand up.
So that scene was not cross covered? You did it one side at a time?
Yeah, no, that was cross covered until that last moment. And
you
last
did a reset
moment,
for that.
The reset, and then we did the whole
camera.
scene in the reset, because I didn't want to just, you can't do that last moment. So we cross-covered the whole thing, and then we did it all again with one camera as a 2-shot, which then was going to be her getting up and him closing the door on us, the audience. And I was just hoping that she would do it, and her reaction was incredible. I mean, it was just, and that's the testament to her talent as an actor. She was so in it. I mean, it was a horrible thing, and we luckily we love each other so much, because she really was not acting. I believe she was just being as Allie. But her instincts are just incredible. When you have an actor that has these kind of instincks, I mean, as you know.
She didn't slow down at all.
No.
So there was a lot of great overlapping and conversational sort of texture throughout the whole movie. Was there a coverage strategy of cross coverage? And
I do cross coverage as much as I can.
Yeah. And it never, I mean, Maddie, didn't look like lighting suffered at all from.
No, especially because, again, form follows function. A lot of the cross coverage, a lot of that was because I also wanted to place you, the viewer, at various points in their relationship. Like, for example, in the cop bar, you're almost the bartender. There's a big wooden plank between you and the two characters, but by the time, as they get closer, you're at the little barrier in the grocery store, outside the grocery store. We're French overs, and you're sort of like getting closer. You're almost in between them, and then you're literally in between them when he's wrapping her hand, with the peas. And so it actually wound up being great because it was functioning the story.
Yeah. All right. Lastly, I'm so sorry about the reviews in the box office, but you're going to land on your feet, and has the incredible success of this film, not only in public perception, box office, and also execution, given you the added kind of confidence and energy to, I know you want to do it again, I know you're going to do it again. Are you finding that you're feeling like you want to even take on something bigger, harder, more complicated than you even thought before this movie, during this movie, and even after you saw it all cut together? And I mean, are you feeling a never-ending momentum of sort of positivity and taking on more than you think you can even handle? Because that's always been such a great quality of yours, is that you're confident without being arrogant. You know and love crew and cast and your audience. And is this the kind of jolt that you deserve, that I want so badly for you? And if you're going to scare yourself in a particular lane, do you know what that lane might be? Is it like effects? Is it, animation? Is it like, I don't know, but are you feeling like, screw acting, I just want the hardest things ever in directing forever?
I never thought about level of difficulty at all. I mean, I didn't.
'Cause you can do it.
But thank you. But I didn't want to make the fourth or fifth really remake of this movie. I didn't think about that. I just thought, oh shoot, wow, this is not a great idea. But you can't help what moves you, and this property felt like the perfect sandbox to examine these things that I want to examine cinematically, like family and trauma and love and finding your voice. And this experience right now feels very calming, because the truth is I was really scared that I was putting something so personal and fear that people would just think I'm it's like, what are the things you're talking about? Like, they're so trite, but they mean so much to me. And so it's been vulnerable. So the fact that people seem to be receiving it, like movies for me, they've saved my life. Movies have inspired me and they've healed me, and they do to this day. I saw Roma 2 weeks ago, and I was convulsing. I was crying so hard, and it's like a beacon of light in my existence as a human being, and to me it brings people together. So I knew that if I was ever going to be a part of this wonderful profession, that I have to work from a very deep place and risk people laughing at me. And I didn't know that if I would ever find something else that would move me in a way. I have found something else, and I found it way before this movie came out. So I'm going to try to do it. It feels like it's a lot harder than this movie. But I didn't think about it like, oh, I want to try something harder. I didn't know if I would ever make another movie, because I could only do something that I feel that I have a point of view about, and there's a reason why I feel like I need to tell it and not somebody else.
Well, you've always been very open and very honest and very vulnerable and very human. And the ability to get that quality from here and then out here to a cast and to a crew, and through all the tools and the trucks that you're given to do that and make it three-dimensional, put it up there and send it out here and shape it. A singular experience for all these people that were in a different place today. No one knows anybody in here. the fact that you're able to take that very small, evergreen quality that we all have, that small little place in us, and make it something big. And it's not about fame. It's just about finding your voice, being open, being human. That's why this film resonates. Please keep doing that in any subject, big movie, small movie, space movie, animated, whatever. Just keep doing what you're doing. I just couldn't be happier for you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks for coming, you guys.
Thanks for listening to another DGA Q&A. If you'd like to hear more, you can find past episodes of The Director's Cut wherever you listen to podcasts. We'll have a lot more for you in the coming weeks as awards season approaches, including Q&As from Allison Chernick and Paul Greengrass, so be sure to subscribe so you don't miss an episode. If you're enjoying the podcast, please take a moment to rate and review us on iTunes. We'd love to hear your feedback, and you can help fellow cinephiles find the show. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next time. This podcast is produced by the Directors Guild of America. Music is by Dan Wally,